What it do, world? It's your minds and them, the Toothless Wonder, back with another installment on the Bamboos Again News Network. And this video is sponsored by the brother CEO King. Had made a comment in my last video, basically asking. I had to look over a couple times because I want to cover this, right? And I want to cover this um, in a linear flow, and I want to cover this without taking y'all through the Mulberry Bush. Because like on that Jay-Z song, I think he had a verse. I forgot, he said something, 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 because our stories is deep, right? And he wanted me to detail the importance of sobriety and how it's benefited me. Watch out that now. Um, this is why it always be hard for me, like, to, speak at a meeting. Because I'm probably better with question and answer, right? Than just talking, right? And I guess through YouTube making videos, I've gotten better at it. Where do I begin? I understand this now doing the introspective work. I got an addictive personality. Like anything I like doing, I'm prone to do it to death. Like when I, was enamored with basketball and football, I dreamt about it. I played it. I bought the gear. I bought books. I watched players. Like I was consumed with anything I like doing, I'll do it to death. There's nothing wrong with it as long as you can balance it and there's no negative consequence. And coupled with the fact I have a high pain, mental pain, and emotional pain threshold. So I actually started using to fit in. Because before I started using, I operate the way I operate now. Like I fool who I fool with. But I be on my own type of time. But it used to get me like negative, like I used to fight real bad. I ain't like nobody talking to me stupid, just like now. And it used to worry my mother. So when I started smoking weed and kind of hanging out, what I was doing, I was actually lowering my vibration to meet people where they at for what is a desire now, human connection, right? Because I grew up in isolation, right? And then amongst my family, I was the only male in my age range on both sides of my family, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm not getting into it with people as much. My mother's not like, she's not as concerned because I'm just flaring up because I don't really fit in, nor do I want to. So when I kind of dumb myself down, it seemingly was an easier go, right? And then, I kind of got one of these vivid imaginations. So, the herb kind of take me, to outer space and whatnot. But what I wasn't realizing at the time, it was creating this inability, or anytime anything happened that I don't like, what I don't feel is going my way, or the ideals that I have, it gave me an escape, which set me up for failure later on. Like they say in the treatment world, whatever age you start using, that's the age you stop emotionally and mentally developing. That's why, like, you might have a uncle or something, let's say he's 50, but he still act kiddish, because it stopped the natural growth process. Like they say, growing pains. And I went through growing pains in this season of, continued sobriety, abstinence, what you want to call it, Lord's will, and March will be 4 years. So, okay, so, then you start getting into trouble, right? So then they court order you to, drug treatment, whatever, whatever. Sometimes I went duck jail, but I wasn't taking it serious. I never thought it was that bad. And because I got a high pain threshold, and because I couldn't live up to the expectations that I had levied on myself, I felt the subconscious need to punish myself. You know what I'm saying? So then, there's the reciprocal action, more bad behavior, more breaking the law, consequences. Got grace and mercy in it. You know what I'm saying? Da da da, right? So, what happened then? Then I always used, but it was depending on the season of life. Sometimes I'll use the coke. Sometimes I'll use the sub. It don't make no difference. I just want to use. You know what I'm saying? Sunny out. Yeah, use. Great. Make the sun brighter. It's raining out. I'm sad. Use whatever, right? So the Most High really, really, really started dealing with me after my shawty passed, right? And then 3 months after that, I broke my neck. Seemed very star-crossed, right? So now I'm using, and I've had other seasons when I was in this mode, but anybody play with me, I'm getting with them, no matter who it is. You know what I'm saying? I was exhibiting PTSD symptoms, hypervigilance, you know what I mean, manic depressive modes, reoccurring nightmares, a familiar spirits that I know it to be now. It was a So I was using it to cope because I didn't want to deal with the reality of the situation. I think at the root cause of all addiction, when you dig past the layers or unpeel the onion, it's an inability to deal with something that you're not trying to deal with. In my case, pain, shame, insecurities, past traumas, if that's what you want to call it, right? So, what happened after that? So I was homeless for a while. What happened? Then I tried to get back my daughter. I was tired. He said he tired, boss. End up having a situation where I tell the truth, I ended up spitting on her. And the people actually took me to the funny farm instead of taking me to jail. My cousin hears the story. He's in Baltimore. He's the assistant house manager rehab. I'm already tired. Run it, cuz. So I get to Baltimore. This is April of 16. Now, I had to go to detox first at Mercy Hospital. So here's where I'm at with it. I say, I'm going to do whatever these people ask me. I'm not just going to be frolicking around Baltimore City. I'm going to handle my business. And in the natural flow of whatever, I should, go to school for something, work somewhere, make some money. And naturally, I'll come to a new social circle. And then eventually, like, I'll meet, a nice young lady, right? Y'all realize none of that happened. And it wasn't even remotely close. The first spot I was at, it was actually well renowned in the city called the Current House in the Walbrook section of West Baltimore. Black ran, you know what I'm saying, woo woo. This is during the time period where I was in the transition of state funding of it, state funds for treatment, and they were transitioning to billing of services. That's why you see the game as is now. Once the money came in, the whole game changed. I got caught in the wash with all that. So after 6 months of being there, they couldn't get it together because the black folks fraction. Some people on this side, and us as clients were stuck in the middle. So in 6 months, they closed up, but they annexed every single penny they could from us. Like people stole the food and whatever. So the dude there brought in for clinical purposes, as I like to call him, hot air balloon head. Segue me, please. He was the worst individual I'd ever met in Baltimore City, but he ended up being the catalyst for how I am now, right? So he brings us over to East Baltimore because he was trying to make money off it, but he didn't know what he was doing. And in 6 months after us being there, he left and we still in the building. Luckily, I had an aunt that lived around the corner off of Bel Air Road, moved in with her, but I'm still hanging with the lokes, you know what I'm saying? Because these are the only people I know. And I'm seeing the situation, people relapsing, people lost faith, lost hope. And these are the people who would showing us how to live life and then just disregard us when they move don't work. So the morale low. So I'm doing my best to hold, cook up little vittles for the homies. We chopping it up. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, it's time to proceed on. Everybody go their which way. But I still had keys to the building, and I would still stop by house the homies. So one day, my roommate, my old roommate or apartment mate, whatever, he gave me a card. Said some other people, a housing organization that came in. So I ended up talking to them. I was already still had keys to everything. Moved back in the building under this new regime, and these were black Christian folk. Let me tell you, they were the worst individuals by far. That joint was like living in a terror dome. SWAT team always in the building. I mean, it seemed like the people they got to work there, they would hire them off the street. You know what I'm saying? They had no desire to actually see anybody under the Christian moniker, get better. They actually made more money the worse you were. So I think they were fostering that environment. Just like at my old job for recidivism, or now because you're so jacked up because we're creating this environment, we can now justify more services that don't help you now. You know what I'm saying? And then they just take pictures and make it look good on Facebook. But the actual environment is, to say the least. I could do just a whole number just on that. So eventually I said, man, this ain't working. They're trying to stop my shine. You know what I'm saying? Like they would get on me about going to school. I'm like, I'm the only person in these various sites that y'all got going to school trying to better myself. So how do I get out of here unless I upgrade my skill set? But it seemed like y'all trying to stop me from doing that. So eventually I had a homeboy that I knew previously from Baltimore. He was in the Helping Up mission. Hollered at him. He said, come on. So I broke camp and I rolled out. Let me find some white folks. You know what I mean? Relapsed a few times. One time I went to Florida on a whim, relapsed. Went to somewhere down here where I currently live at during COVID time. Got lonely. relapsed on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Went to Florida, relapsed, spent 3 days at the beach homeless. Yeah, yeah. Got bit up by mosquitoes, was nice and black. Looked crazy, man. And I was just tired, bro. So whereas though, like I'm hearing footsteps in the dark. I'm in my late 30s now. I'm like, I can't keep living like this, man. And my experiences is whatever with these treatment folk, right? So I know I got to duck back in because I can't stop on my own. Now I can stop. I just can't stay stopped. So I'm like, man, whatever. So this is how the Lord works in mysterious ways. So ducking back in was in the back of my mind and making it better than the last time, right? But I know I'm had to be broke because where I'm going to go at, you blacked out for 45 days. You can't work for 6 months because I've been there before to help that mission. You know, I got homies there, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man. So that's when Trump had gave out that last stimulus and they said child support wasn't going to Deion Sanders that joint. So I said, whoop, there it is. I tell everybody who needed them, I'm going back in. They said, pray the Lord. So this time, so now, I've had numerous rehab experiences, but I say, yo, this time I'm going to surrender to the best of my knowledge, which to me meant at that time was no matter what come down the pike, I'm going to just deal with it. I'm not going to go get high or drink or flare up or none of that. I'm going to eat it. So during this process, I had through the process, right? Every single thing that normally would cause me to use, I had to face at some interval in the journey, right? Case in point, I forgot how much time I had in then. I don't know, maybe less than 6 months, right? So the high school I went to, my junior year, the guy I was in the backfield with, it was his sophomore year. He ended up breaking all the school rushing records, right? So my other classmate had did like a podcast interviewing him, right? So I checked that joint out, right? And then my senior year ended up moving to Meade, went to Meade High School in Anne Arundel County, right? So I lose track of what happened like after I was gone, right? So he breaks the school records the year me and him was together. Then the following year, his junior year, the year I was gone, he re-breaks all his records from the previous year, right? And then his senior year, they missed the playoffs by one game, right? But as he's telling his story, it then reminds me of all my failures. I start remembering failures that I done forgot about. Then I start remembering failures that had nothing to do with nothing, like relationship-wise, or I misplayed this, and it sat on me about 3 days, right? True story. So at this time, I'm finding little hustles on Craigslist, and I got the money, from the stimulus thing or whatever, right? So then I'm like, man, I'm in one of them moments, right, where I don't want to feel this. I want to escape this feeling, but I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? So I'm torn, right? So I'm complaining to myself inside my head, man, I should do this, take my will back, as they say, whatever, right? So then what happened? Oh, so I'm going to this plasma place, because at the time I was giving plasma, right? So I'm like, man, I just want a little beer or something. But I'm like, nah, because if I drink one beer, 1,000 beers later, I'm be looking stupid, right? So I'm like, well, nah, I can smoke some weed. And if I smoke some weed, I can air out by the time I get back. And like I said, I got bad conscience, right? So I'm juggling that, right? And no sooner than I said I'll smoke some weed, right? I just so happened to look down at the ground, and it looked like somebody had rolled up a fatty, hit it a couple times, and just dropped it on the ground. Granted, it could have been something else crazy or whatever. But I said, nah, I said, you can get me like that. Stepped over and just kept playing in my head, right? Get a plasma, come back, still feeling funky, right? I go to Burger King, I go to the park where I do pull-ups at, I eat my meal there, lift the paper up, it's another blunt, right? I said, boy, Satan terrible, right? Complain the rest of my head, right? But here's why I tell this story. So my thing was failure. But after that feeling was on me about 3 days, after that, I never had an issue with failure again as far as my own confidence. Just like now, I try a whole bunch of stuff, fail, and it don't fade me none. It just either ain't for me, or I can do it this way, or I can't do it this way at this time, or whatever. Like, once I beat something now, or overcome, like loneliness, now I embrace it. You know what I'm saying? Had a season where, I went through my various job trainings, that stuff wasn't working, or it just wouldn't fit right. So I've always found me a duck off spot, and I'm ready to graduate. But it seems like I've done a whole bunch of work. I've been applying myself, been getting jiggy, but nothing has come to fruition yet, right? So I say to myself, sometimes, especially like with me, right? Sometimes I feel like stuff don't apply to me. So like they'll have this moniker, they say, if you want to do something you never done, you got to do something you never did or something to that effect. But I'm like, yo, and like to myself, I'm like, yo, I've done everything different this time. But seemingly, I'm getting the same result. What's the point? Woo, 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 right? So I got these utility certs, I graduate, boom. But my plan ain't working, and then I'm getting these little rinky-dink jobs that really didn't require me. So now I feel like I'm wasting my time, right? So I said, man, maybe I've learned and gotten all I'm supposed to get out of Baltimore City. So how do I get out this treatment spot with little to no money, reoccurring anyway? So after graduating a year, stayed an extra month, after 13 months of sobriety, I found a sober living spot to go into. And they give you like 2 months funding with a month extension, 3 months, whatever, right? So after 13 months in sobriety, I go to a sober living spot. So the people I'm around, they fresh off the street or fresh out of detox. You know what I'm saying? So they said I had to do certain things. I just do it, right? Now the whole thing at this point is get a job, get any job, because I need to start running the next phase of my campaign. Got a job through a temp agency. And like I talked about on here, the job was a 45-minute bike ride away. Felt some type way about that. Darn, it ain't getting no easier. But I used to take this 45-minute bike ride to be at work at 8 o'clock. I used to get there at 7:15. So I just started doing regular stuff to a high level. If I'm supposed to be somewhere, I'm there early. And I got a decent attitude. That's opened doors for me. Having a decent attitude and being prompt in my communication. Just fundamental stuff, right? Whoop, do that. They was ready to give me a raise and a promotion and felt led to quit. That's the journey, though. Not mentally felt led to quit. Something in my spirit told me quit. But as I talked about on here, it put me on a path. And then, like I said, I filed for unemployment, but it got all jacked up in the system, in which it was a divine redirection, because legally, had I got it while I was at the first institution, they had the legal right to take it. Got to where I'm at now. Didn't know what I was going to do. And then the breakthrough happened. Then I started working at the treatment center. But here's where God revealed the long, arduous path, right? Because I hadn't really been around people like that, or not really on a super interpersonal basis. So during my first wilderness season, right, the first phase of it, the two things he worked on me on was forgiveness, and he turned the mirror around on me and showed me all my faults, right? On top of being homeless and destitute and bewildered and woo. But when he put me around people, he used the mirror to show me what he was doing the whole time as far as my character. Now, because of my experience in treatment, now I'm well grafted to work in treatment from an instinctual standpoint. So I just know what to do, or I just know how to identify people, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need no book, you know what I'm saying? So the proverbial crazy people, I was the lead on that, you know what I'm saying? Because they're not crazy. I just understand where they're coming from, because I've been around them so much, you know what I'm saying? But he showed, like, now I don't need validation because of all the isolation. I'm not as prone to be or the tactic of love bombing don't work on me. You see what I'm saying? I'm able to hold my principles because they were forged in the fire of affliction. So after they, from what they told me, after maybe the first 2 months and I kind of got my flojo together, I could have been the employee of the month every month out of that, because I was showing up there. My shift started at 3. I was getting there like 1:30 on a bike. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't find it burnt because I felt like I was imputing my experience into people. And here's the real game as far as sobriety, right? Now, they say social acceptance doesn't constitute recovery, and it don't. Now, you can get clean from drugs and alcohol and still be a douchebag. You just don't use. But it's deeper than that. Once you remove that, you got to deal with under the iceberg. Traumas, let's say, insecure. Like, you got to get real with yourself. That's why I'm now able to tell people the truth. Because in order to do that, I had to tell myself the truth. I talked about on here one time I was in the bunk and a voice popped in my head and told me I was Willie Lump, yo. And I thought, oh, man, yo. That's when I got on my campaign. That's why going out in the world and getting disappointed stopped affecting me. Because I got to fight back, even if it don't look like I'm winning. And I got tired, and I use this analogy for the time period I was in Baltimore. It seemed like the Most High, and I prayed this prayer, it seemed like he was dangling the carrot in front of the horse to get me to move a certain way, but I'm not getting no closer to the carrot. Then I get frustrated, plop down, frustrated, whatever. But then when I open my eye, it's right there though. But he was moving me along a certain path. Had my plan worked, I wouldn't be here now with my child, and I wouldn't have the experience and faith and trust. You see what I'm saying? I had one situation, right? Uh, when I was back in Baltimore, I went down to a job training to get me down to the port, like a 3-week jump, and they supposed to, try to get you down to the port of Baltimore. I got my forklift cert, and you're supposed to get a twig card, but they never gave me my twig card for some reason. And then this is during the time when they started having all those port issues and ships sitting at sea and all that, so the port was in whatever time it was on. So I don't really have time to wait. So then I jumped to find out my own stuff. Okay, I got the cert. I'm not gonna rely on you to find me a job. Now with these certs I got, let me hop on Indeed or ask right? So I got a job doing fourth shift, as they call it, in Essex, paying $22.50, 7 at night to 7 in the morning, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? I said, oh, that's good, 'cause I like having my days off during the week so I can handle business, and I like being on my own. When everybody at work, I want to be home. When people sleep, I want to be woke, and vice versa, right? They stalled me out. I got the job, like, cool, boom. Then, nigga go get a job. He started doing the math in his head. They stalled me out for like a month and a half and then finally knocked me on my background. Mind you, I'm in arguably the most dangerous city in America. I hadn't committed any crimes, and probably at that point, it had to been over 7 years. And when I look at the people who work there, I'm like, yo, I know he didn't, you know what I'm saying? Knocked me on, so I'm frustrated, right? I deal with that again. Stuff falling apart that seemingly is in the bag, right? So in my frustration, I got these forklift certs, right? So I go on Google and I start finding these staffing agencies that'll staff and house you out of state, right? So I submit the junk, and people call me and had a spot for me somewhere in Kentucky. Now, mind you, I'm still in treatment. So I'm like, man, I can't fall on it right now, da-da-da. They were like, all right, well, So I was like, can I call y'all tomorrow? They said, yeah, but the position might not be open. So I'm like, all right, boom, right? But I'm used to being boxed in, so it felt good having options, right? So calling the next day, that particular job, they filled it, but they had another job in Portland. This is like a Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. So I say, yeah, right? So that Tuesday, they sent me all my flight information, job site, the hotel and all that, right? But I'm still in treatment though, right? So let's say this is a Tuesday, so I'm like, oh, snap. Let me seek wise counsel, because normally I don't, you know what I mean? I just make my own decision. So I asked, good brother. He gave me the thumbs up. I talked to one of the higher ups in the joint based on how I was carrying. He said, man, you good. And let's say it don't work out or whatever. As long as you come back in 2 weeks, you can pick up where you left. So he gave me a safety net. I talked to the smooth cat daddy type. He said I wasn't ready. So that was 2 years one day. I said, all right. So then, but mind you, I'm making an executive decision with this here. So now I'm getting into this point of trying to submit to the will, right? But it's new to me. I don't know what I'm doing. So I say, God, again, because of all my experience, if you're going to speak to me in the still, quiet voice that they say you do, I'm probably not going to be able to hear it because of all the, loud noise internally of anticipation, nervousness, excitement, envisioning what my life going to be like in Portland, woo. So if you don't want me to do this, just do like you do everything else, seemingly, and block it. Go to sleep, wake up, got an email saying, from the site to the staffing people saying, they were downsizing and to cancel my flight, my trip, and all that. So I kind of felt relieved, like, oh, okay, okay. And then I got into the utility joint later on that day because, I put my eggs in more than one pot, right? But the brother asked, what is the benefit of sobriety? If you're doing the shadow work, as they call it now, here's the benefit. You're able to effectively deal with whatever, because, as they say, take life on life terms. And that's why I've kind of separated myself from the average recovering addict, if you want to call that, who has a sponsor and does meetings and step work. To me, it's kind of cultish. And to me, with the eyeballs I got from the experience I had, I don't know. And then, I think the Most High don't really want me around people like that. You know what I'm saying? I had to go the harder way. Like I've seen people, get on deck, but internally they not forged. Like even when I was at the job, which showed me this, you can have, however many years of sobriety. You can go to school and have all this education, but until you live the experience under the authority of some higher power, you're not going to change. You just stop drinking or smoke or whatever. But typically I see, especially with recovering addicts, they become, whoremongers, or, they become very materialistic, or the outward persona, or whatever the case may be, and have no depth of character. It's my character that holds me now. Put me or put another recovering addict in my situation, they'll jump out the window. Because they haven't been trained in faith. They haven't been trained in doing without and then not doing something slick to get something. They haven't been trained in operating in faith. With such things hoped for, evidence things, I don't see how, even now, I don't see how none of that's going to work. But I'm here. You see what I'm saying? That's the benefit. The benefit, not the pats on the back and all that. I know I'm a better person. And that's why I think I get the certain hate now. Because it's like, wow, he really who he say he is. He really bout what he be's bout. They'll like I can't really be around him just because of that pure energy. Not that I'm, super, I kind of just put my head down how I'm a business. But he really like that. And then when you really like that, you'll show how deficient, just like the Barnabas principle. It makes no sense for after Jesus healed these people and did all this, when they asked to pick one, the people who's healed you and taught you stuff and stopped the bamboozler and a murderer, they picked a murderer. Because the murderer doesn't make them feel, now mind you, they might not be, unaliver, but he's not going to hold a standard to us. We feel more comfortable around him. He's going to promote us do better. That's why they don't want fathers in the hood. I mean, in the homes. Because he's going to set order. We don't want order. You see what I'm saying? We don't want, the only reason I'm not the only reason, but one of the contributing factors why I'm sober, because I put all the responsibility on me. I stopped blame shifting. I stopped, giving myself a safety net, or if something don't go my way, here's who I'm going to blame, or this the excuse I'm going to use. Ain't none. You see what I'm saying? And that's a hard space to live in for the average person who hasn't went through a journey that created a depth of character, because there is no safety net. And like everything could fall apart. One situation, everything could fall. I've been in that space. You see what I'm saying? Most people can't handle that. Not just recovering addicts, people in general. On the flip side of it, if you have gone through, like say, the recovery process, if you do it the right way with the principles, you'll actually be head and shoulders above other people, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But in my particular instance, but you'll be further behind as far as, like, it took me I ain't had a license in 20 years. When I started the process, it took me 2 years to get it back. It took me years to legitimize myself in the system with, like, let's say banking, credit, all that. You know what I'm saying? It takes time for other people to speak highly of you. Day in, day out, character. You see what I'm saying? Now, I get my little hate and all that, but I'm still the done data as far as, they ain't never seen nobody carry the way I carry. You know what I'm saying? And not in ego or preeminence or self-grandizing, by living a principled life. Not, okay, like I heard the brother Immortal Mind say this. Along my process, I became addicted to the work, not the result thereof. Now, I hope I get the results that I'm looking for. But if not, it's not like I'm going to abandon the work. I love working on myself. That's why now I can be by myself. That's why it's easier for me to let go of distractions or people playing. One, they wasn't with me when I was shooting in the gym. Two, because of the long, arduous journey, you're not beneficial from almost a business standpoint. So I'm not codependent in that respect. That's another thing, drug use and all that, or addiction rather, it breeds codependency. You see what I'm saying? So when I was at the spot, I would tell the brother, unless you already have a skill like a truck driver or something, I understand. And then when you get sober, you do get horny, right? I understand that. Like, I'm not one of them. But don't move in with no woman, because you're going to lose all your leverage and she's going to subvert your process. And that's why it took me so long, because I wanted to hurry up and get back on deck. Like the rest, I had to go the harder way. You see what I'm saying? But when you go the harder way, can't nobody really tell you nothing. Can't nobody really manipulate you. And if they do, once you quickly cut it off and don't feel need to explain yourself. I'm protective of me, because at the end of the day, I got to look me in the mirror. I got to live with me. If you like me, that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, It don't make me feel no, I don't lose any self-value or self-confidence because you don't like me. And typically when someone else doesn't like me, like, it'd be because they got their own issues or insecurities that they don't want to face, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just teach you how to be all right with you. Especially as we see society move into this place of like being accepted and all that. Now we're accepting unacceptable stuff to be accepted. That's why I like everybody selling out and going along to get along and all that. I ain't doing none of that. It ain't never get me nowhere. And I don't need it now. I can't be no legend going along to get along. You know what I'm saying? I can't be no inspirational folk. You know what I'm saying? Dropping my principles or the things that have got me to this point because it'll give me an easier go. Like when I first started working at the job and things were easy because now I got finance rolling in, it actually made me uncomfortable. I'm like, man, ain't nothing to fight. Ain't nothing looming over me that I got to battle for an extended period of time. That actually made me feel uncomfortable. It's so crazy. You know how they say you can pray for things and want it, and then once you get it, you don't want it no more? Pray for years to be in a certain space. Because at one point, I wondered, will I ever get back on deck? Got on deck and could chill, and it made me nervous. Not in the sense like something bad was going to happen, but I had been so used to fighting and banging and grinding and praying and, you know, analyzing. When I didn't have to do that, it made me uncomfortable. I actually asked God, send some more problems. Actually, you're going to have problems. I just want a new set of problems. You know what I'm saying? And technically, I'm in that space now. But that's the benefit of sobriety. And not just sobriety. Sobriety that is anointed by the Most High. Because you can get sober, like I said, but what good is it and you still scheme? And that's why I was around a lot in Baltimore. I've seen people preach all this sobriety, woo 12 steps. And as soon as they get off the podium, they trying to smash on the young girl who just came in that job. But the topic of the meeting was doing the right thing for the right reason. Then as soon as you not speaking, I see you do the wrong thing for your reason. That's why I never really got into sponsorship. Because from a characteristic standpoint or an authenticity and genuine standpoint, I find my own answer. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Granted, I bumped my head a few times, I ain't, succumb. But I think that's the journey he set out. Because I don't mean to do it, but you got to bump your head a few times. I'm going to have to get you out of your own way or you out of your own will. You know what I'm saying? But that's the benefit. And it's been like, I'm going for the gusto now. My only frustration, and I get better with it, is to try to become one of the most, like almost one of them 1960, 1970 Negroes. Especially with the emasculation agenda and, you know what I'm saying, what they doing with our families and them esteeming the worst of black degeneracy and all that. I'm just trying to operate honorably. And can't nobody say I done bamboozled. How can I start the Bamboozle Again News Network and then go out bamboozling? You know what I'm saying? Nah, we ain't doing none of that. Till the casket drop. I'm all in now. And sometimes you go through doubt, fear, the thought of giving up. But honestly, whatever's in me now that's been forged in the fire, I couldn't give up. I couldn't give up if I wanted to. I'd just go take a nap or go work out or something. I've come too far. Here it is. I'm leaps and bounds from where I started, but I'm nowhere near where I'm going at. And I hope I did this video justice. I'm going to holler at y'all. Ooh,